All right, hi. So I'm going to talk about the what I call the cookie cutter leaders of the world today. The old term that used to be thrown around and don't hear it very much anymore is the Manchurian candidates. You know, the Manchurian presidents and the Manchurian prime ministers. But I mean, these in three particular, I'm going to say Obama's old regime, and thank God he's gone. Macron from France, and hopefully he'll be out soon. And of course, now we have also here in Canada Trudeau. Now, what is the common thread between these guys? If you notice, they seem to have a commonality amongst all three of them. Okay, now you can add other politicians as well, but I'm going to concentrate on these because these are the three that seem to be most representative of what I say the cookie cutters. Okay, if you look at them, they're all relatively young. They all kind of amassed their political experience very quickly. You know, I mean, like, what was Obama? Obama was a one-term senator, and that was it. He went from one-term senator who accomplished really not that much when he was a senator in Illinois. He didn't really do that much. I mean, it's not like Illinois all of a sudden is going to put up a statue for him or anything like that. He was a hometown guy, and he got elected, yeah, to the Senate. But did he does he have a lot of bills to his name? Not really. You know, a couple small things, but nothing substantial. But then he catapulted right from Senate, one term, right up to the presidency. Look at Macron. Where did he come from? What's his political ability? What's his political background? Hardly anything. You know, he really he's a banker's boy, and then all of a sudden they just catapulted him to the leadership of the country. And then, of course, here's Trudeau. I mean, Trudeau was a ski instructor, a drama teacher, and a ski instructor. The next thing you know, he becomes leader of his party, and then the following election, he becomes prime minister. I mean, these guys have been planted there. You see, they just didn't organically grow and advance in their parties. They were planted. They were nurtured. They risen up because somebody was backing them up. Now, look, the other similarities between them. They all have media. They all have the mass media on their side. You know? Obama, I mean, how terrible of a president was Obama? I mean, quite frankly, poverty rose, food stamps, record levels for food stamps. He did nothing for the black people. You know, I mean, he was supposed to, the black candidate was the man of change and stuff like that. Was supposed to, like raise up he did nothing. Trump since then has done so much more for the black community than Obama ever did. And did he want to? It didn't seem like he really didn't. He excited the black community. He racial profiled the police and saying they're all racist, that kind of thing. But did he do anything for the black community? No. And here's Trudeau. The media love him. He's bought out the media. He's given them. I mean, never mind the CBC getting public money, and the conservatives always want to cut back on the CBC, and of course the liberals always restore the big fat paychecks for these guys who, quite frankly, do I watch anything? I don't know anybody who really watches anything on the CBC anymore. Yet it's still there, and then he goes out and he buys off the media. With $595 million to media outlets that were failing and they were going to collapse, but no, he has to come in with public money and support the media, right? And what did the union representatives say? I'm going to be Andrew Scheer's worst nightmare. Really, is that if that's not a confession that you're being bought out? Then what is? Why would a media outlet, so closely guard what Andrew Scheer says, and not the prime minister? Never mention the prime minister. These guys, I mean, they are truly placed in there. They're not elected. They're rammed down our face. There's a couple great videos that Paul Joseph Watson did exposing Macron, and how the media was like in one particular newsstand that he showed Macron on almost every cover of every magazine in French publication. It was just enormous. Just a swell of just put Macron on everything, and just make it seem like he's the central candidate. Now the guy can't even get 20% approval rating, and he's still hanging on to power. I mean, the guy from Belgium, Michon, he resigned on really the first protest, and here's Macron. I mean, they can't let him go. They can't relinquish power until they get something in his place in France. They can't relinquish that power, right? They won't do it. So, I mean, even if he drops down to single-digit approval rating, they're still going to back him up on this. And it's just ridiculous how, especially here in Canada, how we're waking up so slowly to these facts. These guys are bought out. They're not representing Canadians. They're not representing the ordinary workers or anything like they said they were. They never, Trudeau never gives a straight answer to anything. If you look at his answers in Parliament in question period, he always does the same thing. He blames the previous government. He gives gracious praise to the workers, or whoever, like a fishermen in Atlantic provinces. They're doing a great job. They, without them, where would we be? And then there's, foresters in BC. Without them, it's the same thing every time. The Canadian service personnel. And it just gives this great praise. And then, of course, he blames the other guys for being racist or, Nazis even. He doesn't come out and say it, but he's kind of implying it. They're the ones full of hate, and they're the ones, because we're questioning, security matters and stuff like that to our country. Even though, in the past little while there has been, some questionable, activity, and which, again, for the most part, have been covered up. Anyway, in the description below, I'm going to have a video by James Paulson. I hope you watch it. It obviously explains things more eloquently than I am doing right now, and a little bit more polished. So please have a watch that video, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for now.